Hi.
Mikel, I'm just wondering what reaction you've had to the Nottingham Forest game and going into such a massive game against Liverpool, such a pivotal point of the season in a semi-final of a cup competition. Are you going to get the desired response from your players?
Well, obviously, we were all extremely disappointed and upset after the game. We analyzed what happened, we discussed it, we talked about it, and hopefully learn from it. And after that, you have to throw that in the bin, take the lesson, and move on, because the game that we have ahead of us tomorrow is too important.
We are live in our Good Morning Transfers programme at the moment, so I hope you'll indulge me just a couple of transfer questions slightly early on in the press conference. I was hoping to ask you about Dusan Vlahovic and Arsenal's interest in him. Is there any optimism on your part that you can do this deal in January?
I'm really sorry to disappoint you, but you know that I'm not going to be discussing any transfer rumours, and I never done it, and obviously we cannot do it.
Are you hopeful that you can get what you want this month in terms of improving the squad?
What I really want this month is that we have as many players as possible fit and healthy, and we do the best and maximum that we could with those players. And after that, we have a strategy of how we want to evolve and improve the team, and whenever that is possible, we're going to try to do it. But we all know that this market is extremely difficult.
In terms of outgoings, Nketiah, Mari, Kolasinac, are you expecting to lose any of those players this month?
Again, this part of the strategy. Every individual situation is different. There's a lot of factors that contribute to making that decision. But at the moment, everybody that is here is fully involved.
And I just wanted to ask you about Nuno Tavares as well. Obviously, what happened at the weekend? What did you make of his reaction, and what have you said to him since?
That these things happen in football, and I'm there to make the right decisions to try to get the best performance out of the team. And it's not pleasant to make those decisions. It leaves you a bad taste, and but at the same time, we are here to help our players, and to help our players, you have to do it in many different ways, and hopefully that's a way, because certainly we want to support our players, we want to help them, and the fact that you have to make a decision on a day, in my side, it gives me more encouragement even to help them, because I've been there and I've been substituted after 45 minutes, and I've been upset, or I have made my wrong decisions in my life. It's part of a process and a development phase in any career. And it's part of the experiences, and some experiences, unfortunately, they don't have to be pleasant, but most of those, if you take them the right way, they are really the ones that help you to progress and become a better person or player.
When you think back to when it happened to you, what was your reaction at the time?
Upset, and the coach is wrong, and this is not fair, and this is normally the reaction. With Nuno, I didn't get that reaction at all. And that's it. It's for me, it's just a moment, and move on, and focus in all the good things as well that he's done since he's been here, and that's it.
Have you got any fresh injury concerns for the Liverpool game, Mikel, or anybody returning
we have
from
some
the absentee list?
It's extremely volatile and uncertain. I don't know what the situation we're going to have today is different to the situation we had yesterday, certainly. Obviously, I cannot get into any detail with that, but it's what it is. It's in the last week or so, we lost so many players for many different reasons, and we are trying to adapt to that, and use the players that we have, and make the most out of it.
And just to clarify, are those mostly injuries, or do you have any more COVID issues?
There have been different reasons to it. There have been some injuries, some COVID, some absence with players that they have to be away, obviously, with the African Nations Cup. So, different reasons.
And we know Liverpool obviously had with the first leg postponed. Could that situation arise again for this game? Are you confident you have enough players?
you can never guarantee anything because you know that this changes dramatically in 10 seconds that the doctor comes through the door and gives you the news. And we have experienced that already twice this season. Our willingness is always to play.
Mikel, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Ian at TalkSport.
Thanks, Mark. Good morning, Mikel. How are you?
Morning, Ian.
The dynamics of this tie have really changed now because whereas you were at home first, you're now going to be at home second. So does that change the way you approach this game at Anfield?
The dynamics change because the timing of the game becomes different. The first leg is in a different place. It's completely uncertain and unpredictable, but it's what it is. So I don't know how it's going to change. Nobody knows till we are on that pitch and we start to compete to reach that final.
I know you've got players away with the African Nations Cup as well, but I mean, to face a Liverpool team that hasn't got Mo Salah or Sadio Mane, does that give you hope?
I always have hope when I play and when I'm competing for any trophy. They have a couple of players out. We certainly have a lot out as well. It's what it is. We're going to have to go there to try to win the first match because it's going to put us in a better position for the second one.
You mentioned before the doctor maybe coming and knocking on your door, and you don't want to see him because of what happens regarding telling you can't play players because of COVID. What did you make of Liverpool saying they've had a lot of false positives? So actually, some of the players they thought had COVID actually didn't, and I think it was only Trent Alexander-Arnold who actually did in the end. I mean, does that frustrate you that maybe you actually could have played this game last week?
It's something that is not in our control. The EFL is responsible to check every single player's status and then make the decision whether that game has to be played or not. The decision was to postpone the match, so I'm sure that if that was the case, they had the right arguments to do so.
But the whole idea of trusting these results and maybe getting false positives, I mean, when you come in every morning and your players are tested, I mean, how do you know that they're as reliable as it can possibly be?
Well, just trusting that those tests they're going to be as reliable as possible. It is always going to be a percentage that might get the results wrong. First of all, you have to trust the people who does it, that is done the right way, and we have the right equipment or the best possible equipment that we have. And after that, yeah, whatever happens after that, difficult to judge.
Just two more quickly. As for Tavares, going back to him on Sunday, when a player comes off, and you said it's happened to you before, when he comes off, do you like to see a reaction because it shows that they care, or would you rather he just went and sat down and maybe behind closed doors in the dressing room showed his disappointment at your decision? That's
a really personal thing. It's not what you prepare. It's something that you don't certainly train. So I think he comes into the emotional moment and the character of that player.
Oh, and finally, it's a transfer question, but not about whether you're signing players or not signing players. Last season, at this time, there was COVID and we didn't have any spectators in the stadium. We do this time round, so therefore clubs will have a bit more money. Do you think that we're going to see clubs spending the money, or do you think that we might see them wait until the summer? I mean, how do you think that the actual window is going to pan out for everybody?
I don't know the financial power and position of other clubs. You hear a lot of rumours, like you hear about us. Some of them can be possible, some others they are not even considered. I think clubs are always willing to try to improve. We know that there are a couple of clubs in England now that they have the possibility to buy players in this January. Some of them they have already done. I'm expecting more activity than last year because clubs are in a better position, but I don't know how far we've come still through this pandemic.
Brilliant. Listen, good luck tomorrow night, Mikel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, Press Association.
Hey, Mikel.
Hi.
You mentioned there that some deals not even considered by the club. Is it realistic for Arsenal to be linked with players? I mean, you mentioned Vlahovic earlier on. I know you're not going to talk about individuals, but to be linked with players when you're not in Europe and the finances that are involved in those kind of deals? Are they kind of the unrealistic deals that you're talking about?
I don't know. Historically, this club has always been targeting the best players in the world, and the best players in the world, they were always interested to come here. And I can say that that situation hasn't changed. So every time I have spoken to any player, they were so willing to come. I haven't faced any other situation, and that's one of our biggest powers and our capacity to get the attention of people to come and join our club is something that is a big advantage for us.
Emile Smith-Rowe's fitness is being assessed ahead of tomorrow, I believe, but he lost his place in your starting lineup recently. Have you had to talk to him about that? And when he's fit, what does he have to do to earn a recall?
The reason why that happened, it was because he wasn't fit. Nothing else. His performances when he's been fit, they've been extraordinary. The way he's evolving with the importance that he has in the team, I think it's without a doubt really, really positive. But he's had an issue that he's been carrying, and obviously that has affected his ability to train, his ability to compete, the amount of minutes that we can give him. And we are trying to get that situation resolved as quick as possible, because we need the best version of Emile for us to be successful.
A few months ago, you spoke after a game and said that Emile had needed to change some of his lifestyle choices. Since then, he's gone on to play for England and he's scoring regularly for Arsenal. So is that are you happy with that reaction? Is that proof that those changes are taking effect?
Yeah, but that takes the demands in every area, in every aspect, to a completely different level. The moment that you have more exposure, media-wise, expectation-wise, you play with the national team, you go in the national team and you score, you are scoring frequently, then the demands, the load, the stress, everything is higher, and you have to cope with that. And people think that naturally it's easy to do, and it's not that easy to do. And then you have to start to think that you're going to be playing 60, 70 games, playing pain-free. It just doesn't happen in elite sport, and you have to start to live with that.
There's another player, obviously he's coming back from COVID, he could miss out tomorrow. And I know you spoke last time about potentially being short in midfield. Was there any thinking that with Ainsley going to Roma, you could have postponed that deal until the end of the transfer window, so you'd have had him for these games, or was that something that couldn't happen?
We talked about all the possibilities. When you are finalizing a deal, there are certain things that you cannot miss out if you want to complete that deal. I said the interest of the player was that clear after what happened in the summer, that we felt it was the right thing to do, and it was a matter of a day or two that we tried to do that. But as well, you have to have the player in the right mindset to compete, knowing that he's going to leave the next day. So I don't think that we can make a decision that is going to have an impact in the next 6, 18 months just for a day or two. I don't see it very logical.
And then just finally, one on Eddie Nketiah, if I can. If you can't, I know you're trying to convince him to sign a new deal. If you can't get him to sign that new deal, would you rather keep him and him leave for free in the summer than sell him now, given your options you've got in attack at the moment?
The situation is that Eddie is our player, and Eddie is going to stay here with us.
So he won't be going anywhere in January?
He's our player and he's under contract, so he will stay with us.
Thanks, Mikel.
Thanks,
you.
Mark. Nick, haters?
Morning, Mikel. I'm just wondering, when do you get your COVID tests back, and when will you know if Granit Xhaka is available to play or not?
Excuse me?
When will you know if Granit Xhaka is available to play or not in terms of his
hopefully
COVID
today.
test?
Hopefully today, not tomorrow. Hopefully today.
Okay, and he's physically well enough to play if he's got a negative test, is he?
That's the argument that we are having, that obviously after having COVID, they are going through that illness in a different way. Some players are having symptoms, some of them are affecting them. Some players after training or the first few training sessions, they are struggling, and some of them are completely fine. So whenever we have the option to train Granit fully with the team, we will see where he is at. I don't know where he will be physically. I know where he's going to be mentally. He's going to be fully committed to play straight away the next minute that he has the clearance.
I'm just wondering if the Forest defeat has any impact on your selection. You've got this game, then Tottenham, and then Liverpool again. And in February, you've only got 2 matches now. Do you just need to get every player out there and say, look, just give me everything, 100% for these 3 games, and then you can have a rest afterwards, because our season could hang on these next 3 matches?
Well, we know the impact that those matches are going to have in our season. We knew before Forest, and we didn't have a lot of options. We had 10 players that they could not start that game. That's half of the team for different reasons. So it was a big lesson. We know that we didn't perform at the level, that it wasn't good enough, and we have to move on, because the next 4 games that we had ahead of us, they are too important.
Did you think about asking to have that match postponed against Forest?
No, we didn't. Everything occurred pretty quickly. I might repeat myself. We are willing to play football matches. We don't want to keep postponing matches. That's how we're going to try to intend to approach every single game. If something different happens, we will see.
And just finally, on the League Cup, Carabao Cup itself, are you one of these people who's in favour of switching the semi-finals to just a one-leg decider?
Well, with the look of our fixture list for the next few years, and it's something that we have talked between managers and the Premier League as well, something has to be done. Probably it wasn't possible to do it this season because the commitments were already arranged, but it's something that, in my opinion, has to be discussed, yeah.
And do you also discuss the future of the competition at all? Is there a danger that the League Cup could disappear from the calendar entirely in the next few years?
From my side, we haven't reached those conversations yet.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Nick.
Cheers.
Right, just go to a